welcome to a Giants Backlog. We'll be talking about Inscryption. There's a lot to dig into here. It's going to be heavy spoilers, and we thought it'd be something that our patrons will enjoy. So thank you for joining us, and we'll get into it. So I guess nobody's really hosting this. It's just going to be more of a discussion. But maybe we can start out with an icebreaker. I guess a question I have to you guys is, have you ever played any similar games with a subplot that ends up being, not what you expected it to be, and it goes places that you don't like, or that you do like, or don't like?
Yeah, it seems very heavy leaning on that one. No, this game was definitely unique in that approach. I've never played another game that was 3 games in one, right? I thought that style was something really cool as like a kind of story transition, as each act was completely different than the act previously.
Kind of reminded me of like a Frog Fractions, where you start out and it's one thing and then it changes as you go on.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the beginning of Frog Fractions, you're just collecting fractions, and then eventually, like, you go into outer space and become a frog lawyer and stuff. So,
what is that?
You've never seen YouTube videos for that?
No.
Frog Fractions? Look up donkeys, it's good.
Okay. Nothing to the scope of Inscryption, and I just kind of thought of like the Stanley Parable.
Yeah.
That game kind of is like, I think it's a game about escaping the office, but then it's really a game about nothing.
Yeah. Stanley Parable I really liked. And a lot of these games I don't want to spoil because people on the panel may not have played them, but the twist is not new in video games. There's been a lot of twists.
Yeah.
Like Bioshock 1 is one that comes to mind. The twist at the end.
Yeah, and even this twist wasn't that like crazy of a twist. I mean, it was, but
I
it
thought
wasn't really a twist.
I thought
right?
the whole game was just
The first
the
part.
beginning part when you beat the guy at the end.
Because that's all I'd ever seen of Inscryption. That's what the cover art is. It's all you've seen is being in the cabin with Lecce. And then how much more there was to the game was interesting, with the several parts, with the other scribes, and then even just the embedding of camera video and the twisting of like reality into the game was super interesting as well. Like, I've never experienced anything like that. It was funny. Grado was texting us like when he was on part 1. He's like, "Yeah, I beat it. It was pretty good." I just thought it was over.
I thought it was
Pretty
over
cool.
for sure.
I thought so too. When I beat it, I'm like, wow, that was an easy. Like, that was a short game. That was a lot shorter than I expected, but really good. But I'll tell you what, part 1, I just wish part 1 was like 3/4 of the game. That shit was like a lot longer. Part 1 was so good.
Yeah.
Strongest part.
We'll get into that, I think. But let's just talk about part 1 for now. What did you guys think about the mechanics of the first card game version?
I thought it was challenging, but like it made you want to keep playing because failure actually like generated a new result every time, right? It was very like a luck-based deck builder, right? So if you didn't get what you wanted on the first run through, you had a whole new chance to get it again.
Yeah.
And the mechanic of creating your death card was something that was really cool. Like if you got screwed with like low cost items, you had the potential of making like a really powerful no cost item. Like I'm pretty sure my winning run was a no cost 4/6 that had the Mantis triple attack.
Yeah.
That I just like threw out there and
I had that
boom,
too.
boom, boom.
My mine was called OP Beast.
Yeah.
It was he was a 2-cost, like 3/2 with Mantis, God, and Flight. So it didn't even matter if there was anything on the board.
You're just delivering 9 damage every time.
Yeah, that's like a lot of games do this roguelike deck builder, and a lot of them are pretty fun. Like Monster Train, Slay the Spire. There's a handful of them out there. So I was just expecting this to be a good version of that, and I did like the base game. I liked how short the rounds were. You could win in one turn. And I kind of liked how it was like, a tabletop game that you're playing against a buddy who's going to strangle you when you lose. And I like that you're able to take a break from the game, get up and walk around the room.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about beating it. I know John had a similar experience as Paul, where you guys both beat the first part multiple times without ever using the knife.
Yep.
And I just thought that was funny because the first thing I did when I got the knife was use it to see what it does. So for me, like the first time I beat the guy, I actually got to the next part because I had the camera roll that you needed, which I think the rest of you beat him before you.
I beat him
camera roll.
4 times. Yeah. I'm an item hoarder though.
I didn't beat him. I didn't beat him more than once before I got the camera roll.
Just once?
Just once. To get the knife, yeah.
But you got the knife by freeing the caged wolf, and then you could go walk over to the wolf that was outside of the cage, and then I think the squirrel was holding the knife.
Oh, I thought that the wolf was released by beating him once. What was the wolf released by? Because I just randomly went over there and I saw that the wolf was then released.
I think you got a caged wolf out of one of the other things.
I got the card, yeah.
And then when you let it get it attacked, it breaks the cage. Then it breaks in the room.
Oh, that's what it was.
It's a really
really cool. I like that. Did not realize that's what happened because I started walking around the room after I beat him because I had already broken the cage and then just played through to the end because I hadn't beaten him before.
It's funny, like when you first start playing the game, thinking it's just a deck building roguelike. For me, at least, I didn't really worry about what was around the room too much because, yeah, they powered up your deck, but I'm just trying to beat them anyway. I don't know if I need it. I'm just trying to dive into this card game. But what you don't realize when you're collecting that stuff the first time is you actually are advancing the game. Like you need the stuff to be able to get to part 2. You're not just beating him. You're like, moving through the story and stuff.
Like the cards they give you in that game are just so much like overpowered because I'm pretty sure you get like it's like an ant built deck just based on like doing the bonus trials. They give you like worker ants and a queen ant, so you can build like a 5-ant deck that does ridiculous damage.
So did you never see what happens if you beat them and then you don't have the roll film?
Yeah, I don't know what happens.
So he still takes a picture of you, and you still have to make a death card, and then he hangs it on his door, and it's like Hall of Fame.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. He's like, congratulations, like, wow, you really inspired me, and he still kills you. That happened, and I was like, what the fuck?
That's funny. Yeah, I had the privilege because I was working from home and John was playing some Inscryption that he streamed it for me when he was first starting out, and I got to watch like as he's trying this stuff, and it was really hard to not give you the answers, just like be vague. It's really hard.
Yeah, that was like right when I started, which right when you start, it's so hard. Like just getting used to only having 5 lives, like only being able to take or deliver 5 damage. Your deck sucks. Like getting the start was like the very start like hopeless. Like how
Yeah,
the hell am I
exactly.
gonna win
The
this?
first run, he doesn't even explain the rules to you. So you figure out how to summon using squirrels, but it doesn't tell you what bones are. And it's just like there's no way to beat it on run one. You can make at least one death card.
All the other OP things, the totems. Once I started, like once I was
Yeah.
decent at the game, I started like I'd rush totems every single time.
Yeah, once you get the squirrel head too,
Yeah.
that's the most overpowered thing.
Yeah, so I never solved that one in the room.
Oh really?
So I never got the squirrel head.
You never
So
had the
I
squirrel.
watched John solve it. I was like, oh, that's what you get out of there. That would have been useful.
Yeah, getting like a foresight on every squirrel that you play is ridiculous. That was my favorite thing because then basically I would play my first squirrel, pick my next card, play another squirrel, pick my next card. Like so, I only drew squirrels.
My combo was I always did. You only drew squirrels and then you picked. That's
Mhm.
funny.
I drew a squirrel
always-
every turn.
Yeah, I always did the undying one. So like when when it dies, it comes back to your hand.
That's a good one. Yeah.
So I would never draw squirrels.
Yes.
I'd always have a squirrel in hand.
I did the one where when you played it put another one into your hand. So I never drew
Yeah,
squirrels.
I had one of those too.
Yeah.
Sacrifice indefinitely.
Yep.
Play powerful stuff.
Yeah. By then.
Yeah,
I
that was the
winning
one I
turn
had.
every single game.
Yeah,
And
the
then
first
also
run
the
through
repeats.
was squirrel duplicating squirrel, but like my favorite one that was my final run was the get to foresight on every squirrel. So I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll take that, I'll take that, I'll take that.
So, anything else to say about the first part?
I really like the what was he? The guy who cut your cards in half and spliced them together.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
he's a mushroom guy, but
He's a doc.
I got 2 heads.
yeah.
All the characters that is just this dude wearing a mask across the table.
I know.
They have
Prospect
a surprising amount of character to them.
Mycologist.
And
Yes.
I liked, just the vibe, sitting in a dark room.
100%.
It was a spooky vibe, but it fit the game well. That it made it almost cozy to me. Like just sitting in a dark room playing cards.
Yep.
And the soundtrack when they talked too, so menacing.
Yeah.
I can just still hear it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think if the game would have been just the first part, it would have been a good game.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. So I played the first part for so long as I didn't know how to advance. At some point, like the stove started looking like a robot.
Yes.
Did that happen for you guys?
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
Same thing with the wolf. He started looking like the wizard.
And the stink bug.
Yeah.
The stink bug.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, the stove did start like getting rectangular.
Yeah.
Yeah. I never even put together. Though.
Yeah. So that was the getting to the point that you were getting to. Those were the other scribes trying to break you out of Leshy's thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, break
So-
themselves out. Really.
Break themselves
Yeah.
out, yes, because they were stuck in Leshy.
Yeah. So you beat them, and then you just put it in a dark room with no way to get out or do anything. How long did you guys wait in that room until you?
No, I didn't wait very long because
Quit?
on the window or on the wall, like where the light was, it was like the new game symbol that was grayed out before.
I didn't see that.
So I figured out. I figured stop, dog. So I figured that meant we should start a new game, which was like starting a new game even when it's part of the mechanic. So sketchy. It's like,
Yeah,
am I gonna have to do this again? Like, what's going on here?
I was scared of that too, and maybe my brightness was not turned up high enough. I didn't see that symbol But I just saw a dark room and a faint light, and I like kept walking around, and then I hovered like quit. Like, should I quit? And I go back. There's got to be a way out of here. I spent way too long in that room.
Oh yeah, I just quit.
You were in that room for 30 minutes.
I was probably in there for 10.
Yeah.
It's far less.
I actually think I remember the etching that John's talking about. Like, I didn't right away, but
I think I saw it. I still wasn't. I don't trust it.
It was too dark. Maybe my brightness was too low.
yeah, I remember being like, oh, it's new game time. Sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I noticed because, like, at the beginning of the game, when you're first starting, you couldn't hit new game. You had to hit, like, continue, even though it's a new game. So, like, because of that, I remember.
So, at this point, the game changes, and I really like the second part.
When did the videos come up? Was it before you started the new game or after?
Oh,
It was.
before.
Because I watched all
No.
of those. Like I remember as soon as I could.
The first set of videos was the first time you beat Leshy,
Oh,
That's right.
Okay.
and then the second set was after you started a new game. I want to say it's the first thing after you started a new game.
Yeah, so those videos, like, I really thought, like, the guy in the videos was the game developer who made this game.
That's what I thought too.
And
I
I
thought it
was
was just like
so-
developer documentary.
Yeah, I was like, this is so cool. And then the credits rolled at the end, and it wasn't him. It was an actor.
Oh, I still thought it was until just now.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. I was like, that was cool, but no, it was an actor. Did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, the videos are pretty cool. It was like Blair Witch style,
Yeah.
like going out in the woods, digging up a floppy drive. And then
I won't lie, I
Luke
didn't
Carter.
watch all of them.
The Lucky Carter. That was his YouTube channel.
They're only like 20 seconds long.
Yeah.
Some of them.
Long ones. Yeah, there were a couple that were like a couple minutes long. Yeah.
yeah, I
You didn't
watched
watch
them
them?
all.
Not at first.
That was like the game's like overarching story.
I thought the game was the overarching story. Yeah, I thought it was all like developer commentary. I was like, oh, whatever.
And that was actually because that guy, Luke Carter, got pulled into like the game, right?
Mhm.
So like it took like that sent that bit of reality and pulled it into the game as well.
Yeah, what happens at the end of the first video? Well, yeah, he goes out in the woods because there's like coordinates that he finds on this card that he does in a pack opening, and then he digs up
for Inscryption.
Inscryption the game, and it's on a
Yeah.
floppy disk.
I was really hoping they'd show some of the inscription cards and like that he was pulling. I was hoping like a death card would be in there. Be like, and maybe they have it where it changes based on whatever death cards you had, and then you look at it and it's like, what the hell? That's my death card.
Well,
I thought that'd be cool.
videos are important because like chronologically, it's not like the game. Like we're not playing in chronological order, is what you realize as you start watching the videos. So like his videos are in chronological order though. So he finds the game and then he puts it into his computer, and then he starts like a new game, and that's what Act 2 is that we're about to talk about, the new game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Act 2 happened before Act 1?
I think so. Chronologically, from Luke Carter's
No.
perspective.
No, from Luke Carter's perspective, he finds the game and there's a continue file on it, and that's what the first part is.
That's what Leshy's part is.
And then as you're playing as Luke Carter, basically, so you start
Playing
the
the
game
game.
after, see what the game was,
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
and then the third part happens. But
Yeah.
let's talk about the second part. For me, that was my favorite part. It just reminded me of Yu-Gi-Oh on the
Like Game,
Game
Boy.
Boy Advance, and it was a lot of fun. I thought going through and building a deck, getting the card packs, and being like, I can take all these styles and make my own deck. So I really liked part 2. For me, it was the strongest part.
I think I might have messed up in part 2 just based on like. So what board did you guys play on for part 2?
What scribe did we pick?
Yeah.
I picked the wizard.
I picked Leshy and immediately restarted because it was too hard without like a potential squirrel draw, so I picked technology.
I picked tech.
I picked the undead.
Oh, we got coverage.
Was our board? So did you play on the board of the scribe you chose? Like
No, I think it
Well,
was
the game
always
world
that
didn't
orange
change.
game board. Yeah.
I played on a tech board though, part for part 2.
Yeah, my like theme was like bones. Like the scales were made out of bones.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just like a different skin, but they're all the same boards, pretty sure.
I don't know. I feel like I didn't like it as much. I liked the base board a lot more. I don't know if it was like a familiarity thing, where I played on that board for so many hours, so I liked it, or if it was, I don't know what it was, but I feel like that had an impact on my experience for part 2.
I mean, it was the
Just 'cause I
same.
didn't like the board very much.
You mean you liked the 3D board versus the 2D board, or you just missed the skin, or what?
I started playing like a tech deck, and I didn't like the mechanic as much as I liked the base
Oh,
deck.
the beast mechanic.
Yeah.
I like the tech mechanic a lot more, but yeah, it's mechanic based, right?
Playing with
So
the undead deck, everything cost bones, right?
Yeah.
So I knew what to do. I started with cards that would generate bones every turn, so it was pretty easy to
Yeah.
figure out
Mm-hmm.
that. And then I started slotting in cards from other.
yeah, I just restarted part 2 before you guys got here, just to like see how long it would take to rebuild decks so that we could do our special. However, we end up doing that.
Part 2 was the weakest part of the game for me. I thought the card game of each part, this was the one that was the least fun. I didn't like the mage deck. Maybe if I had
Mage
tried a
deck
different
is
deck,
very difficult.
I still won with it. I didn't have trouble winning. I just thought it was. I just didn't think it was as fun. I missed the roguelike elements from the first part where you're able to play through and improve your deck as you go. And I like the atmosphere of the third part better than this part. The pixel like art didn't do it for me.
Yep, I agree
Yeah,
with you
it's
there.
different.
I thought the roguelike, I thought the card game itself was more fun in part 1. So going into part 2, and it being the style changing, right? To build a deck and bring a deck to
Yeah.
fight your enemies as opposed to like the roguelike build as you go. Just because I preferred the build as you go, I thought part 2 was the weakest.
It made every run unique.
Yep.
Oh, I have a completely different read than you guys. That was my favorite part. Maybe,
I liked it too because you had the variety.
Maybe it's my nostalgia of that Yu-Gi-Oh game, but
Mhm.
I love going around just like getting more cards from people.
Yep.
Like,
Being like, oh, can I use this card with this card?
yeah,
Can I build the ultimate beast tech deck?
Yeah, I thought the possibilities were endless, and that this was like that you did the roguelike already. I think it didn't overstay its welcome, and I was glad that it moved on to something different. And then in this one, it was like you could theory craft and make whatever deck you want.
Yeah, and maybe I should have played around with it more too. I think I got stuck in the trap of like, oh, I have to build a tech deck now, and I didn't really enjoy the tech deck. So
Yeah,
I just sat with the same deck the entire time. Really wasn't that hard to like just. I don't even think my deck was on a scale of 1 to 10. I think my deck was like a 4. But I still didn't even have like
It was
any
you
issues.
didn't need a good deck.
No,
anyway.
you didn't.
I don't think my deck was good either. It's just like
You need. I felt like the
I think it was
hardest
good.
scribe was the undead lady for me, and maybe that was because it was like early on in the game.
I did her first.
Yeah, I wasn't able to get her. She always like beat me before I could get enough things on the field or whatever, because her deck was designed for stab damage, so I didn't have a lot of defense against that.
The chest in the basement. How did you open that?
I didn't get it.
I didn't either.
I didn't get it. There's a way to.
Yeah, I thought I opened. Oh no, it's just a guy guarding it, right? And
He's-
says,
No, he opens up and says like,
No.
"Go away."
No offering,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
sends you away. None of us got that.
no, I don't think so.
I looked up how to get it, but I forgot.
So
I never get that one.
I did like, especially in this part, you go to Leshy again, and you get to actually meet the fur trader, the prospector, the angler.
That was really cool as well.
So like all these characters you already know in the form of Leshy wearing a mask and pretending to be them were actual characters from the original game.
Yes.
In the lore.
Yes.
So,
and
that was really
they
cool.
were Leshy's friends.
Yeah, and you had to do different things to make something happen so that they will even battle you. You have to beat them to.
Yeah, you had to find dog food to feed the guy's dog.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I didn't like this part of the game. Like, I thought that was really cool, visiting all the scribes. P03, the robot, that was my favorite one, where he's just not happy with the quality of bots, so you have to go talk to all of his workers, and they like jump on the assembly line themselves, so that better robots are being made. And then it's cool too, the last part when he fishes up that really good part, and he doesn't jump on. I like that one a lot. It really fleshed out the world of the game.
Yeah, it added the backstory of like what these 4 characters that you knew in one version in the first part actually were.
Yeah, that's where I put together like, oh, okay, Gamora is the stink bug, and Cage Wolf is the wizard, and P03 is the stoat.
But anyway, you beat all the scribes, and
you're trying to replace one, right? That's
right.
Like
that
the
was
point of the
point.
game. Pick the scribe you want to replace.
I was just about to ask you guys: who did you pick to replace at the beginning, and did your decision remain the same at the end?
Well, it's always the same, right?
No, you had the opportunity to switch.
You could choose.
Yeah, but
at the end they gave you the chance to pick again.
You're saying who'd you pick?
Oh, who'd I pick? Yeah, I picked the CO, whatever.
At the beginning and the end?
Yeah. Because again, I played as... I just picked the Beast deck because I was most familiar at first, and then I like immediately restarted because it was different than drawing for those squirrels or whatever. Mm-hmm. And if you had done like a hybrid, the Beast deck became a little bit better. But yeah, ultimately I like the technology the best. So I picked technology.
I picked P03 both times.
Both times?
I stayed with the wizard as well.
So at the end you picked to replace the wizard?
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, I picked the undead person, I forget their name. Gamora. And then like I fought against her and talked to her, and she's like, "You really don't want to replace me, right?" And she was like, "Please don't replace me." and then when I talked to P03, he was a dick, and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna replace this guy instead." So I switched it at the end to replace him, and then P03 of course evolves or whatever and becomes Leshy basically.
Takes control of Inscryption.
Yeah.
I'm confused. What?
He takes control of Inscryption so that he's the main scribe. So he becomes what Leshy was in in Act 1.
Yes.
So now the other 3 scribes are locked away.
How does that happen? How did...
It's called the Great, whatever it's called.
Well,
the Great Transcendence.
Makes you
that's the end.
Do in part 3, but part 2 he takes over control, and he's the guy at the other side of the table now.
Yeah.
But how? How did that happen?
I don't remember.
He's like, when you do him, like he like you talk to him to fight him, and he's like, your deck sucks. You need better cards so you can beat the other scribes. So I don't know what his plan is, but he needs you to beat the other scribes so he can take control of Inscryption.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how he did it. He just did it.
Yeah,
he like, did it. That's the thing, is like part 1, Leshy is, like a being in the room with, and everyone else is a card. And I assume like he entrapped them in those cards. I guess maybe with his camera or something. But is that spelled out how how it got to be that way?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
With his camera.
He did that with his camera.
What is P03's thing? His scribe way?
He just builds them. He builds the cards.
Right. Okay.
So that's why they were just locked out of that area, right? Because the 3 scribes. Now we're jumping ahead into Act 3, right? But they're trying to get in, right?
I remember now.
And then
we're in.
yeah, and then you meet him. But yeah, he basically takes you to the side in order to try and take over Inscryption.
Yeah. Okay. I remember now. Yep.
And they're like, he thinks he's winning.
So then we get another batch of videos, and the plot thickens in the real world.
Yeah, I did watch those ones.
Somebody from the company who made Inscryption like comes to Luke's house and is like,
Yep.
"You have to give us the game back."
He acts like he doesn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and he investigates a tragedy where one of the employees got killed, talks to their mother.
Oh yeah, one of the developers, right?
Yeah,
Well, the mother was the one who had the garage sale where he got the cards.
yeah.
And then so he asks her if she knows anything about those cards, and she says that her daughter was a developer on that game, and then he investigates.
So, yeah.
And then the idea is that maybe she could see that there was something evil growing inside this game that was more than just a game, and maybe she staged the fire to destroy it, but apparently kept one copy of it that she hid on that floppy drive in the woods.
Yeah. And so the idea is the characters on the game have sentience, and it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about part 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is my least favorite part of the game.
I agree.
I thought it overstayed its welcome. I didn't think it was very fun. This session was way too long.
And
I
it was
started
just
to
more
lose.
of
Yeah.
Like up until this point, I was really high on the game. At this, this was where I put the game down for about a month, and I didn't pick it back up because I got bored.
This is like
not
more-
even just like it was also frustrating too because you had to like hop around the same exact map but in a virtual like map sense, and then you would have to battle the same enemies, and if you lost on one enemy you'd have to re-battle to get to that enemy again to just try again. And so like it and it wasn't like before, right, where if you lose you start over and rebuild. It's like, no, you gotta just keep trying to build and hope that what you're building is good.
Yeah, this was like polar opposite of the first part.
Exactly.
You have checkpoints. Your deck, like as you go through, your upgrades are permanent, so you don't lose them when you die. Like when you make a card stronger, it's always going to be stronger as you go through and do whatever the mechanic is.
Except if you do that buff where when the card
When
dies, it dies forever.
Good, yeah.
For one strength. So I found myself never using that.
That was kind of interesting, I thought, that mechanic, but it's just like you have checkpoints. I thought the game was easier than the first part. Here again, it's like because he wanted you to win for the great transcendence, whatever that was going to be.
I liked it. I thought it was more difficult than part 2 because you're, like you said, everything is permanent. It makes it feel like your decisions matter. Building your deck, like every time you purchase an upgrade or purchase or put a card through one of those machines, you got to be thoughtful about what you're doing because you need to be strong enough to take out all the bosses and whatnot. And like you said, Alec, I liked that there was some difficulty. I liked that when you fought an enemy and got through it, there might be 2 more enemies before you hit a checkpoint and lock them out. and if you lose to one, now you have the risk of now I have $40 on the ground past that first enemy, and if I lose, it's gone.
Yeah.
So I mean, I liked the step up.
What do you think of the bounty mechanic?
I enjoyed that as well. Like when you get one, or like when you get 2 stars on your head and they're going crazy on you. Like I like when games get harder. I really do.
Yeah.
I thought that was good comedic relief. Some of the bounty hunters, the music made me laugh, and then their dialogue was often pretty funny too.
Yeah.
Kind of seemed out of place because it was like Old West, like bounty hunter coming after you, but I don't know. It was funny.
Yeah, I kind of disagree. I thought the first part was the hardest part of the game.
I think the first part, like when you first start, is the hardest part of the game.
Yeah.
By the time you're strong enough to beat Leshy, I think the game is very, very easy. Like I was running through and I beat him like 3 times in a row, 4 times in a row. Just basically turned my brain off and speed running because I knew exactly what I needed to do. The cards I had were OP, and I was just running through it. So I don't know. I feel like part 3 was the most difficult part.
Not for me. I have a question though? So you guys both played Tech Deck in part 2. Were they like the same cards in part 3?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So that's what I liked about part 3. It's like I like the Tech Deck, and it was new to me since I had done the Wizard deck. And I think maybe it is that I just like the board better for part 1 and part 3 compared to part 2.
I just thought it overstayed, like Jay said, it overstayed its welcome. I think they should have shortened it significantly, because it almost felt like it was longer than part 2 and way longer than part 1.
I like being able to get up and move around again.
I just didn't like the room as much either. The aesthetics, I like the creepy cabin better than this metal empty area, basically.
Yeah.
I kept waiting for something to happen, and it never did.
Yeah. But I mean, in terms of the mechanics, it changed it up. Some of the sniper cards. And there were new
sniper cards
added.
are cool.
And for the attacks, they brought out a gun and shot. So it's just, I mean, a little thing, but adds to switching it up.
It was exactly the same as part 2 because I played Tech in part 2 as well. So
Was there a sniper bot in part 2?
Yeah.
So all the cards were the same?
Yep.
Was Tech Deck the one where you built the circuit?
Yeah, you could.
Yeah.
Did you guys use that exploit to
No.
get the achievement for doing like 666 damage in one attack?
How do you do that?
Yes, I did, but only after we were texting because I did it up to like 200.
So you could fight the training dummy in part 2, and you could build a circuit so that your energy would always be full. And then there was a guy who had a mechanic where spend 3 energy and his attack goes up by 1. So I did that 665 times to do 1 attack.
Yeah.
To get the achievement. But you get a ton of other things.
That's how you get cards.
Yeah, so you do 660 or whatever bonus damage, and you get that many wraps, and then you can trade those for card packs.
You're right.
So I had to open probably like 1,000 card packs to get all the cards. So I got to like where I needed like 1 or 2 cards, and I'm just opening pack after pack.
So you got
Yeah.
every card in the game?
I gave
the
up,
original
but-
Inscryption part 2.
In part 2?
Yeah, part 2.
Was that like a achievement or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I decided I didn't have the patience, and I just wanted to beat part 2. So like, I was at the same point where I was missing like 2 cards from the undead and like 3 from the beast,
Yeah.
and I was like, you know what? F this. I'm just gonna play the game. I already opened like 60 packs. I did the 600 damage. What more do you want from me?
Did you get I got the achievement where you stitch together an already stitched together card? That was
Yeah.
like the one achievement I lucked into. Also, last hitting with a squirrel. I lucked into that one.
I got that one too. I had spikes on squirrels one game. Did you get the one? There was one in part 1 where, since we're on this achievement tangent, where you could be fighting the angler and if you hooked one of your cards, if you
hook
hook
it
it back.
Oh, really?
That's funny.
Pretty creative achievements in this game.
Yeah, I want to go back there and get all of them, but
Yeah.
then I remember that I don't care about Steam achievements.
That's what I was just about to say. If it was an Xbox game, I would have done all the achievements, but because it's Steam, I just hit the game and be done with it.
I
Yeah.
hope it gets ported to consoles.
If it does, that would be incredible.
Even mobile.
Right, Hilda?
So in part 3, you have the section where you have to pick out files.
Yep.
How would that work on a console?
They'd have to rework that.
That was an interesting
Yeah, let's
mechanic.
talk about that for a second. So what files did you pick?
Oh, as soon as they started asking for big file sizes, I minimized the game, went to my directory, and found the Mice Gigantic. It ended up being both of which were COD Modern Warfare 2, and it was both of the variants of it. So I just picked those application files, which ended up being 44 gigabytes.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah, as soon
And
as
they're
it
like,
said-
"That's a big file." I was like, "Thank you."
Yeah, it is. God, it's massive.
Yeah.
As soon as it said that if I lose, it would delete my file. Went straight to my operating system. Picked whatever looked the most important.
System 32 or whatever.
Yeah, I forget what that was. But,
For the biggest file, I picked Tacoma episode podcast.
Yeah.
The video file was pretty big.
it really didn't matter what you picked, right?
Yeah.
No, the size mattered because it helped
Did it?
weigh it down more.
Did it though?
I had
Yeah,
to
a little
pick
bit.
more than one.
Yeah.
I did not pick very big ones. I picked files that were 1 or 2 gigabytes, and I had to pick I feel 3, 4, 5 somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know how big.
Well, I
didn't
picked a
know what
really
a big
small.
file
I
was.
picked a very small file, and it said it was minuscule, and then
I did too. I originally picked my resume.
I like that for pick your most important file, and then after you pick it, they say, "All right, if this card dies, we'll delete it from your hard drive." That was pretty funny. And
did
for
anyone
me, I
let
picked,
that die?
No, but I looked it up. It won't actually delete it.
I looked it up too.
That
Messed
would be
up.
so savage.
But I picked Inscryption.exe for an important file to me, and I was like, "Oh shit! If this card dies, does the game delete itself?" And then that's what ends up happening.
Yeah,
in
in the
story.
end of the
It
game,
deletes
anyway.
itself. So it was kind of funny that I just had that worry, and then the game starts doing that itself.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of funny, I thought.
Yeah, how does everyone feel on the ending?
So the biggest impact on me was when you go to Leshy during the ending, and he just wants to play
He
the
just
game
wants
with
to
you.
play
He
the
just
game,
loves
yeah.
the game so much that he just wants to keep playing it.
I felt like that helped develop Leshy's character because it was supposed to be scary, but if you really think about it, were you really actually in danger to anyone? Was Leshy actually endangering you at any point? He wasn't killing you; he was locking you in the room,
He
right?
was strangling you.
When
Oh.
you lost, he strangled you. When you won, he took a picture of you, and you were trapped in a picture.
Yeah, it's just for fun. It's the game.
But
You,
won't
you
say
guys
that,
have
yes, you're
never,
in danger.
you guys have never strangled your friend until they passed
I
out
just,
for fun.
He's just one
That's
more
what Jay
game.
does all the time in wrestling.
Remember that room that Jay was stuck in? There was a pile of bodies in that room. Yes, you were in danger.
Well,
Yeah, well, I
he
thought
loved the game.
I thought the ending was sad.
I felt bad
You're
for Leshy
playing the game against the characters in the game, and they're like,
as they're getting deleted.
Yeah,
It-
like,
so
"You
speaking
should have
of
time for one more hand," and then they shake your hand, and
yes,
it's sad.
so speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh, do you like the dual disc?
Yeah, I like that call out at the.
Oh yeah. He's like, let me give you this cool dual disc, and then the characters will come to life on the.
It was
Deal.
Yu-Gi-Oh at the end of the
Oh,
game
yeah.
against the wizard.
Yep. You rise on your tower.
yeah,
You got your dual
That's
disc.
funny because I just assumed
Mhm.
that was what the Wizards board looked like because I never played on the Wizards board. I'm like, this Wizard board's pretty cool.
It was straight up call out to Yu-Gi-Oh! I was so happy.
So what do you guys think of like in the factory, how you get to the point where you delete the game? Tell me your thoughts on that conference you had with the other scribes.
The conference?
When you go into the computer that was waiting for network connection,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
you meet with other scribes.
Why didn't they want P03 to have control of Inscryption?
Because he was a dick.
I just thought it was like, who did they want to have control of Inscryption?
I don't think any of them. I think all of them
Because they
wanted.
didn't like when Lushy had control either. Because they were all trying to get you to break them out.
I think they wanted the first version of the game where it's just each of them has their own domain and they're the 4 scribes, right? So I think if you really think about it, like each of them wanted to have control of Inscryption, but
Yeah.
like
They all needed to live in harmony.
yeah, I think that they didn't.
Everything changed when P03 attacked.
Yes.
I think that was Gamora's point. Was like, it's always gonna end up the same, no matter who takes
Exactly.
controls. It's better to delete the game.
Yeah.
I really liked when Lushy comes up behind him and grabs P03.
And just like rips them apart. Yeah.
that was cool.
That was funny. Classic Leshy. All right, who's everyone's favorite scribe? We gonna want to talk about that?
I like Gamora.
Gamora's your favorite scribe?
Yeah.
Well, Lushy is my favorite scribe.
Leshy. I like Leshy as well.
P03.
You liked P03 the
That
best.
guy was a piece of shit.
He was a dick.
I hated the Stoat. I
Yeah.
texted Jay when I was playing, and I'm like, man, I love this game, but the Stoat is such a piece of shit.
Yeah, Stoat's an
When I
asshole.
Talking
first started
shit.
playing,
Bad move
like,
every single
time he's
time.
like, bad. Are you sure? Bad move. I'm like,
Really?
is it coded? Like, if I make a bad move, then it says that? It's
No.
actually a
No.
bad move.
Stoat's just a dick.
Stoat's just a dick to you every time. Yeah, I thought that too. I was like, oh, is it really a bad move? Like, shit. Yeah. I stopped playing him. Like,
I like the dialogue in the first part with those cards. You'd go to like power one of them up, and they'd be like, "Not me! I don't want to get burned by the fire."
You know, we gotta sacrifice someone. It's like, no, not today.
Yeah. So, and then of course the saddest part, the last one to be deleted, is the wizard, and he doesn't have time to shake your hand.
Yeah, he's crawling over.
towards you,
Yeah.
and then the game gets deleted. So,
And then
Remember, wasn't there like the original or the evil files or something?
yeah, so apparently there's a way to get a secret ending.
oh,
You have to get a number of cards throughout. You got to get a certain card in your first part. I think it's like the Rat King,
okay.
and then you need some other cards in other parts. I don't remember, but at the end, you know where it flashes all that stuff, and there's redacted things.
Yeah.
They're not redacted if you do that.
Oh, okay.
So that's the secret ending.
Yeah, because in the game there's like original, or they're like called like evil files or something. And I was like, what the fuck is that? Evil files?
As they were like deleting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just remember the ending of the game as the woman from the game company coming back and shooting
Oh yeah, the
what's
videos.
his name in the face.
Luke
Yeah.
Luke Gardner gets
Carter.
Carter. Gardner.
His YouTube channel is the Lucky Carter.
Carter.
It.
I watched that video and I was just like, what the fuck?
It's kind of a sad ending
Yeah.
for everybody.
Yeah.
Especially Lashy.
Yeah, because like you look at, you're in the graveyard, and you have the name plates for the tombstone. You got you got Inscryption itself, and then you have Luke Carter. It's like, oh, I guess Luke
did get killed by Game Funa, and then you have the sequence where everything's getting deleted, and then a few more tapes, and it's like just spells it out like gun to the face on the ground. It's like, oh yeah, okay, yep, he did, no questions.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
I didn't either. I was like,
How not? They're at his house
I
asking
didn't
about
think
the
they were
game.
gonna
He's not
kill
giving it to
him.
him. What are they gonna do?
I
Kidnap
thought they
him?
were gonna litigate
Torture him?
John
Then
Wick
kill him?
style.
I just want to talk about the end Leshy part where you're playing him and you beat him. He's like, it's okay, we can keep playing. We'll just not keep track.
Yeah, we won't keep score.
Yes.
When the scale disappears, that's okay.
We can just keep playing.
We won't keep score.
Just loves the game so much.
I know. It's a beautiful thing.
That's why his
Yeah,
part is my
right.
favorite part. His when he has control of Inscryption.
Mine
I just
too.
love that. I could just play like I think they've added an endless mode where you can just do a run and just keep going until you lose. Or maybe that's a mod. Might be a mod that you have to install. But man, I could do that if I had time to just kick back and do a run of Leshy's Inscription. Spend an hour, see how far I could go.
Right.
Leshy's Inscryption.
So he took like a base, really good card game and did it in 3 different genres, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Is the game, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Roguelike, and then like classic
RPG, yeah.
CRPG, well, not CRPG, but deck building RPG, and then I don't know what the third.
Third one's
genre
kind of
is.
just a general, like was a card adventure, right?
Adventure
Like,
game.
Yeah, adventure game.
So it's really cool what they did with genre, and as BDG said in his video about Inscryption, is a lot of games try to do this, like what's real, what's not, what's mind bending, switch up genres, but they forget to make the base game actually fun.
exactly.
And that's what they did in Inscryption.
Yep.
And that's why I think it works so well, is because
The card game's fun.
the basic concepts and mechanics are fun.
Yeah.
So, anyway, you guys ready to score this one?
Hell
I
yeah.
think so.
Anything else you want to bring up, John?
I like the exploits that I found in the second game.
Yeah, that was
That did remind me of like the old Duelist Kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
Hard the Cards, whatever Yu-Gi-Oh game on PlayStation 2.
I liked the
Finding really busted combos.
yeah.
And it's like the sense of discovery too. It's like, oh, I wonder if Jay also found this combo, or like some of the ones that you guys have said. It's like, huh, didn't think about that. That would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So just the creativity that you can do with such a simple game.
I had nothing else. I'm good.
Cool. Ready to score?
All right, who wants to go first?
I will. I think that Inscryption is something uniquely different from any other card game I've ever played. And I really enjoy card games in general. Like you mentioned, a lot of the Yu-Gi-Oh games from Game Boy to PlayStation to even like the newer ones. They're still fun, but they definitely built a foundation that this game kind of takes and makes it its own. And I think that it's fun, first and foremost, to play. I like that the story goes on. So my overall impression of the game is I'm giving it a 9 out of 10.
I can go next. Yeah, so we touched on like it's really like 3 parts, 3 games in one, and then it's got the overarching plot of what's going on with Luke, and we kind of figure out at the end that we've kind of been going through and playing like Luke's playthrough. And I don't know if like one thing I think I forgot to mention is like if you beat Leshy's game, and you watch Luke's videos and you go back and you're playing through again, he starts like talking like, oh, gotta go this card here, like just picking out like obviously the best card, and he's like, oh, gotta combine this with this, and like telling you, because it's like that's where I kind of put it together. Like, oh, I'm kind of playing from his perspective. I think it's just all crafted with a bow tied around it so well. The card game, kind of the different themes in each part, and then the overarching story, that there's not really anything else that I think I've played that would compare. It's a 10 out of 10 for me.
I'll go. Yeah, Inscription's interesting in that its mechanics are card driven, but it's hard to call it really a card game because that's not really all you're doing. It's very story driven. It's like more of an adventure that you're experiencing than solely just a card game, right? That being said, each of how it incorporates this card game and makes it like almost a character in the story is unique and very well done. The game itself is fun. The card game, as it changes throughout, is fun. More fun in some parts than others, but not too much to complain about. And I think for me, judging on how much I enjoyed the game, this was my game that came out last year that was the game that I wanted to play from last year. As you guys know, I don't play too many games, so of everything that came out, this was the one, and it did not disappoint. So I'm going 9 out of 10.
So I like this game. I like how it had multiple genres, like even the old point and click adventure when you stood up from the table. That was another genre of game, puzzle. I enjoyed parts 1 and 2 a lot. Part 3, I think, overstayed its welcome a bit too much. I'd like part 3 to be half as long. I think it'd be a better game if that was shortened up, and I wouldn't have ended the game feeling burnt out playing it.
Yeah.
All that being said, I would recommend this game to anybody who plays games. I think it's something people should experience. I think it is a good game. And I did enjoy it. The vibes in the part 1 and 2, part 3 kind of lost me. So for me, and the ending, I like the ending a lot too. So for me, this is an 8 out of 10 game. And thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Giants out.